There's a bridge near where I live that makes me hesitate. It's really narrow and it almost doesn't look possible for two cars to pass by at the same time. Now, can you imagine if a huge tree or maybe a larger rock fell onto this road? It would make it nearly impossible to get through. Or at the very least, it would definitely slow traffic down, right? Listen to what God says in Isaiah 57:14. Rebuild the road, clear away the rocks and stones so my people can return from captivity. We're also familiar with Matthew 7, where Jesus talks about the gates, right? He says that the gate to hell is broad, it's wide and easy to find. But the gate into God's kingdom is narrow, and not many will find it. So I want to ask you today, how's your road looking? Hebrews 12:1-2 says, Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a huge crowd of witnesses to the life of faith, let us strip off every weight that slows us down, especially the sin that so easily trips us up. And let us run with endurance the race God has set before us. We do this by keeping our eyes on Jesus, the champion who initiates and perfects our faith. Because of the joy awaiting him, he endured the cross, disregarding its shame. Now he is seated in the place of honor beside God's throne. You guys, as Christians, we're all on a narrow road. So, what are the stones and rocks that trip you up? Now, over the last several weeks, the Lord has been showing me how entertainment and other activities can slowly take over my time and my attention. And when that happens, my focus shifts away from Jesus, and I begin to stumble over the rocks that were never there before. And at its core, the Lord reminded me that this misplaced focus is a form of idolatry. Now, Galatians 5:7-8 says, You were running the race so well. Who has held you back from following the truth? It certainly isn't God, for He is the one who called you to freedom. The Lord reminded me, He didn't put that stone there. You did. God is the one who calls us to freedom. He wants us to run our races well. And the obstacles, some we can't control, but many are often self-made. So again, I ask you, how is your road looking? What rocks and stones or debris have you placed there that slow you down, or maybe even stop you altogether? 1 Peter 2:8-9 reminds us, He is the stone that makes people stumble, the rock that makes them fall. And they stumble because they don't obey God's word. And so they meet the fate that was planned for them. But you, dear Christian, you are not like that. You are a chosen people, royal priests, a holy nation, God's very own possession. And as a result, you can show others the goodness of God, for He called you out of darkness into His wonderful light. You are a chosen people. You're a royal priest, a holy nation. You are God's very own possession. So run your race well, not just for yourself, but for others. Let's look back at the verses we read. Isaiah 57:14 calls us to clear away the rocks and stones, not just for ourselves, but so that others can return from captivity. And 1 Peter 2:9 reminds us that our lives can show others the goodness of God. So let's get our narrow roads cleaned up so we can run our race well and be a living example of God's goodness to everyone around us.